We are at one of the best parts of the day for me, and that is talking all things books. When I was a little girl, I longed to be a librarian. Like I, I just knew that you could lock me in the library and I could spend the night and just look at all the titles, go through all the pages, the smell of books, everything about books made me happy. So I am super excited to be sitting here with you today, Aileen, to talk all things books. And, every month on my website, I have a list of books, music, and movies that I think are really great for women to watch. A lot of times women are asking me, like, what are you reading now? Or, do you know a good movie? And then people are always looking for fun things like a great music playlist, so I like to provide that. But this month, I chose a book that you and I read. And so I wanted us to just take a few minutes to discuss the book. And that book is For You, Mom, Finally, which is really, in this month of women, right? Appropriate. So do you want to talk a little bit about like what led us to this book?
Yes. So a couple of years ago, we read Ruth Feichel's book, For You, Mom, which was the book after her first book it wasn't her first book, a book called Tender at the Bones. And Tender at the Bones is her memoir of her life, where she introduces us to her mom, who is Mim. They called her Mim, but her name is Marion. And she tells a lot of really interesting stories about her mom. And she wrote For You, Mom, because she felt bad about how she presented her mom. She wanted to present her mom in a different light because some of the things that she shared were very personal, and a lot of it was about her mental health condition and about her being not so great of a mom. So For You, Mom was her redemption of her mom's story and her allowing her mom for us to see her mom in a different way. Even though she had passed, she wrote For You, Mom, Finally, after picking up a lot of her mom's letters and notes and clips. And she got to see her mom in a different way. And she shared that with us in For You, Mom, Finally. She was something.
Yes. And I think in this month where we celebrate moms, and we know that a lot of women have challenging mother-daughter relationships, I thought that this story, For You, Mom, Finally, as you called it, a redemptive story, it wasn't until she dug deep into her mom's life that she was able to understand the challenges that her mom had growing up, because we know a lot of things are generational. So I know one of the things that really stood out to me, she talked about when everything went automated. Like, for example, we don't think about this, like when the toaster oven was invented, when the washing machine was invented, when all these inventions were coming forth, her mom felt like they were actually taking her place. And then she was left with, what is my purpose? And that being left with, what is my purpose, really drove her mom to have a lot of mental health challenges.
On top of other things that happened in her life, when she was 16, her dad told her that, in a letter, that I am sorry that you're homely and it's going to be hard for you to find a husband. Good luck with that. At 16, and those words that he spoke to her over her life stayed with her for many, many years. Although she was well-educated, she was never able to use her education, and that was part of her frustration as well. She came up in a time when women were just going to be a housewife, and that wasn't enough for her because she was very brilliant. She got her PhD at 19 in musicology. She had a bookstore when she was in her early 20s. She wrote the Woman's Household Encyclopedia and a bridal book for young ladies, but she was never able to really fully realize her life because of the things that society placed on her.
That's one of the things that I particularly love about reading, is that when you read, it really is, it like invokes something in you, and it makes you think at a deeper level as you kind of watch a story unfold, and you, not just autobiographies, but a lot of times novels too, can like touch places that you didn't know existed by maybe like, the way the story is written, or maybe a character says something that reminds you of someone else. But I know when I read this story, I was going through a very difficult situation with my mom, and we would hit this like point in our relationship, and I would be like, why do we always hit this point and it doesn't seem like we can get over it? But then as I read this story, I thought, let me do a little bit more research into my mom's life to have a better understanding. And once I did, I mean, this was like groundbreaking.
That's me, that's me,
Yes,
my mom.
Yes. What are you reading now?
Right now, I am reading Gary Chapman's The 5 Love Languages of Children,
That's
which is
a great
good in
book,
preparation for parenting ministry. And I'm also reading an old book, James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've read that. What is
That's
that
a good
about?
one. It's the story, it takes place in the 1940s in Harlem, and it's about his relationship with his dad and his sisters, and how his father eventually left them, and why, the story behind his dad leaving. Because the mother was a lot, and he chose not to stay in that relationship. And how that affected the whole family.
And that sounds like a lot of things that are going on,
Correct.
even in today's times.
Right.
So this book is a book that we've also read together, Having Our Say. And I just recommend this book. This needs to be in everyone's library in terms of everything that we're talking about today, which is, whether it's fitness, eating right, relationships, reading, being educated, is all in this particular story, Having Our Say, their autobiography, which I thought was just an amazing story.
One of the greatest things about that story is that they both decided that they would not marry, not because they didn't think they would make good wives, but because they thought they would make better single women. And they made a pact that they would just both stay single and serve as best they could as single women.
That's amazing. That was an amazing part of that story.
That was.
Thank you so much for being here and sharing all things books.
Love books.
And that's one of the things that really, brings us together, because we both have a love of reading and writing.
And writing.
I
Yes.
know you have a book that will be coming out soon.
Yes. Yes.
A middle school book.
Yes.
For children. So watch out for Aileen Allen.
She's ready. She's ready.
Whatever
That's me.
that'll be your author name?
Haven't decided yet.
Okay, well, whatever it is, I'll make sure it gets posted on
Thank
my
you.
website. Thank you for being here. And
Thank you
you
for having
talking
me.
all things books.
All things book. Thank you.